My name's Kelsey. I am a pet trainer at PetSmart here in Champaign. I have been a pet trainer for about 10 months now. I wasn't expecting this job. I've always loved working with pets, but when I applied at PetSmart, I actually applied as a pet care associate. But when they found out I was so interested in animal behavior and just training in general, they asked me if I would like to come on as a trainer, and of course I was like, well, yes, of course I would. It was kind of a surprise, and it was a really good surprise, and I have loved every minute of it ever since. I really do enjoy my job. It does have long hours. I do work about 25 hours a week, along with being a full-time student, so it is a little bit challenging, but even when I'm feeling a little bit sick, I go into work and I see the puppies, and they just make me happy, so it's a joy going to work every day. It really is. So, you know, a lot of times when I'm talking to people about training, their response is like, well, I can do this at home. And you know, the truth is that sometimes you can teach the obedience behaviors at home. You can teach them how to sit, you can teach them how to lie down, stay, come, but what you're gonna get out of that is a dog who's really obedient when they're at home and a wild card when they're in public. A lot of times, you know, and take it from me, I've got a dog, she's a year old now, and I got her just around the time I started this job. I got her about 10 months ago. She's perfectly trained at home. She sits, she lies down, she stays, she goes to her bed on command, she comes, she is perfect, but we get her out in public and she is jumping on everyone. She is just overexcited and she just doesn't know how to act. She just is has way too much energy and doesn't know how to contain it. And that's kind of what you're gonna get if you don't do a class with more people and more animals. It is just that socialization period is so important. You have to socialize them to, you know, people reaching down and touching their head, pulling on their ears, other dogs coming after them and trying to play. They have to differentiate that play from aggression, because sometimes dogs who haven't had socialization don't know the difference, and that's when you're gonna get a dog who maybe goes and bites another dog just because it was trying to come play. I cannot stress the importance enough of just getting into a puppy class, any group puppy class, and you know, giving them that time to play, giving them the time to figure themselves out and find out that people, dogs, cats, sounds, smells, nothing is going to hurt them, because then you're gonna end up with a really well-rounded dog who's not only obedient but friendly and polite, and those are really important traits in today's society. In my classes there have been a few unfriendly dogs. I have only been bitten once, which is actually a surprise to most people, but it was actually a Cocker Spaniel, very unfriendly Cocker Spaniel, and you know, by the end of the class we were able to work out our issues and you know, get the dog to be a little more comfortable around people in general. The biggest thing with dogs who are aggressive is they're mostly afraid, and you have to deal with that fear in the correct way rather than trying to, you know, be dominant about it or scolding them. You don't want them to be afraid of being afraid, because that always makes the problem worse. You always want to go about it and, you know, help them understand that people are friendly, or whatever object they're afraid of is not going to hurt them. So that's just kind of how I go about it. To me, the most difficult part is when I get a dog in class that is really loud and barky, because a lot of times the dogs that bark, they're not very good listeners. So what you kind of have to do is you have to get them to settle down and then listen and then work on their barking issues, because sometimes when they're not even going to settle down, there is no way to get them focused, even with a treat, even with a toy. Sometimes it just is out of the question, and we just need to take them on a good run for a little bit. So, you know, I've got a lot of really interesting things for my class. Actually, you know, I was talking to some of my friends about it, like, you should start a blog and just write about your dogs every day. And just today, I don't know, I could talk about this for hours, but just today, it was a week 4 of a puppy class, and then we had this puppy that, you know, came in the first day, a little Australian Shepherd puppy named Sterling, and he just was shy. He wouldn't go up to this other dog. He would run away if the dog tried to come to him. And we'd trying to coax them closer and closer together and getting the other dog to settle down and getting him to be like, okay, you can play with this other dog. But today, I don't know, so Flip just switched and he kind of broke out of his shell, and they played for like 20 minutes straight. And I don't know, I think I created a monster because he is just crazy now. But yeah, you know, I get some really interesting dogs in my class. You know, big dogs that are afraid of everything, little dogs who think they're big dogs and want to kind of go after all the big dogs. Sometimes I've taken them through like big process. Sometimes it'll be, you know, a dog who was really fearful at first, but then they totally broke out of their shell and, you know, got to playing with all the other dogs. And, you know, especially when it's a dog that I've helped so much, I feel this really big connection with them. So at the end of the 6 weeks, sometimes I'm a little bit like, it's like watching kids leave the home. It's really good, and I love when people, you know, sign up for like the next level of classes, because then I'm like, yay, I get to see you again, and I get irrationally happy. I get really happy about it. So I definitely I feel like all of these dogs, and especially people too, because some people come to me just not knowing really anything. So I like to. I feel like I nurture those people, and I just take them under my wing and I help them as much as I can, and then after 6 weeks I'm like, go be free. And it's a little sad sometimes. I mean, you know, I really do. I love every dog that I teach, so it's hard.